sum up Southend United in the past 20 years, what word would you pick?
It's been a roller coaster.
Stable.
Tough.
This one, let Angel in. And he's taking it around the keeper and slides it into the net. Southend 4, Newcastle United 0.
This is Southend United, a football club based in Essex, in the coastal city of Southend-on-Sea. The Shrimpers, a name bestowed upon them thanks to the city's primary industry, can also be found on one of the lower quadrants of the club's badge. Founded in 1906 over the pints of the Blue Boar pub, thanks to landlord Oliver Trigg inviting budding football players and businessmen, the newly formed Southend United found quick success after multiple promotions and soon enough were admitted into the Football League. After leasing what was known as the Roots Hall Field in Prittlewell for an initial 7 years, the club experienced major growth amidst some relegations and promotions, homing players and managers such as Billy Best and England World Cup winner Bobby Moore. Moving into the late 90s, Vic Jobson was the club's owner, but he was bought out by Ron Martin and his company Martin Dawn. It was a fairly hopeful move for the club. It promised stadium relocations and progression up the football pyramid, but no one could have foretold what Southend United would have to endure. From players and staff not being paid, to teetering on the very precipice of non-existence. In this film, we have insights from some of the most well-versed people involved with Southend United, getting to know what actually happened over the past 20 years. This is Seasiders, a Southend United story.
So at the Echo now, I've been there since 2003. Before that, I had a couple of years helping out at the club. So 20 years for the Echo, which feels an awful lot longer. It's almost eventful following Southend. They don't normally do mid-table mediocrity. They're either sort of trying to stay up or go up, or something's always going on at Southend. It's a club like no other. The early 2000s, I don't think Southend have ever been particularly strong financially. I don't think they were splashing the cash in a big way. It was probably run sort of sensibly, really, at that point. What transpired after that is hard to forgive and forget, really. I think he should have gone an awful lot sooner than he did. And I think he also made the mistake of trying to do too much himself. I think he needed to appoint a chief executive a long time before he did, and I even said that to him as well. And I think he took his eye off the ball, no pun intended, where it came to the football side of things, because he was transfixed on the stadium and the development.
And the staff were working for many months without getting paid. I had no idea how, as a staff member, as a person, you would function like that. It ultimately ends at the top. And he's the big boss man at Southend United. He's the chap that pulls the strings. He is the chairman of the football club. He would take responsibility for that. It needs to be at the top. It was sad to see, because you realise there were financial problems off the field, and the winding up orders came in, and they seemed to come in with a fair degree of regularity.
They owe HMRC £1.4 million. It will be very unusual for there to be any further extensions.
I still don't know how Southend survived that day in court, because all of these payments had been missed. I just remember, like, my heartbeat was like coming out my chest, and the judge probably, and he said, didn't he, if it was any other company and not a football club with the attachment of his fans, he would have been wound up.
I mean, over the last 2 years, it's been a big struggle. But if you go back 5 or 6 years, the club were paying ridiculous wages to players. Absolutely crazy money. And that's where I think everything really started. While Phil Brown was in charge, Chrissy Powell, they were paying silly money to players. Unheard of in the division they were in. And I think that started the ball rolling to get in financial trouble.
You're not getting a lot of money in through the gate. You're not getting a load of money in through sponsorship, but you're spending out money on players. And if you're spending out more money than you've got coming in, that ain't going to work.
It was just, no wages, no wins, no players, no signings. You can't train because the water's been cut off. And even the stories that you do get, which you can't prove legally, but you're pretty sure do happen, don't ever get out in the public eye. And you're just like, how's this going to carry on? That was the worry. And you got to a point where you thought, I genuinely don't think that beyond next week that there's going to be a Southend United.
They were out of ideas. They'd try to reason. They'd try to make him aware that there was major issues and he really needed to sell the club because it was not going the way that the fans would have wanted with him at the helm. And they just ran out of ideas. They had to protest directly towards him to make him listen. If he wasn't going to games, what do you do? And he still had the purse strings.
It was conducted that marched all the way through the high street. I thought that was really good for a variety of reasons because of the size of the number of people involved. I thought it really showed the passion for the club and it raised awareness. It brought a lot more people to the story, which I think is what the aim was really, just to try and make people aware of how bad the situation is. I think when the announcement was made, and I think it was just a huge relief that that could be put to bed a little bit, and we could maybe start even focusing on football, because it'd been an awful long time since that had been the case, and obviously since then we've had further announcements.
I'd like to think that going forwards, there's no reason why in the next 5 years they can't be a League One side.
There's no divine right just because Southend have got better owners now that they're suddenly going to win every week and going to romp the league and do this and do that. That's not going to happen. It still takes time to get out of this level of football, and it's going to be extremely difficult because it's so competitive, and I think some people need to sort of realise that, because Southend aren't going to have things their own way. But the positive thing is now
that team has helped Southend United survive, and so many will be remembered as legends for that. Kevin Mayer, the head coach, galvanised the team. He galvanised some results. He kept the team going through really difficult periods. So he deserves the credit, and somehow he managed to do it. I have no idea how he did it.
The positive thing is now that, touch wood, we no longer have to worry about people being paid, wages being paid, transfer embargoes, and everything that we've all been to can be firmly consigned to the past. And hopefully now that's a springboard that we've all gone through, and that can push us on to do better in the future, and that the next few years can be really successful for the club on and off the pitch, and it can finally fulfil its potential and be the club we all know it should be.
Going forwards with what's come in and the consortium, as I said, I don't know how much money they've got, but you'd like to think that going forwards, there's no reason why in the next 5 years they can't be a League One side.
They're a club again. They're a club, and all the fans would say they're my club. The fans just feel part of that club.
Perfect. Perfect.
Is that all right?
Yeah, perfect.
No worries. I feel like I spoke a lot. Is that all right?
Yeah. Up the blues. Up the blues.